First and foremost, everybody, I want to thank you all to the Mental Wealth Podcast. I know it looks a little crazy right now. I'm in my office. I'm trying to set the mood. We got a beautiful, intelligent, smart woman in the house today. And she's definitely equipped with a lot of knowledge, a lot of information. And I met this woman, this beautiful woman here at one time, looking for life insurance. And it's just a coinky dink. I was just talking to her about it. She reached out. Actually, they were taking too long. And so I reached out personally and was like, look, somebody, y'all not contacting me enough time. And when I reached out, she called me. And she called me and I didn't even like the other people didn't even take care of me yet. So she called me on the back end and here we are to this day.
Here we are.
This is how we met. I just want to let y'all know. And everybody, please welcome Andrea Hill. All right. Please, please, please. Um, I do want to say this is the Mental Wealth Podcast, Andrea. So thank you so much for being here.
And Houston, and you may get on me as well, but I pronounce it Andrea. And so
Andrea. Andrea.
to to all the listeners and viewers, it's Andrea.
Andrea,
Andrea
my
Hill.
bad.
Yes.
My bad. My
I'm
bad.
happy to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm just excited and I want to make sure that the listeners and viewers get it right.
That's right. That's right. So look, I just want to let y'all know this where we normalize mental health. I want to let you know that through normalizing mental health, we normalize emotional literacy, and we normalize that through mental wellness and through culturally grounded conversations. And that could be, we could talk about art, blogging, fashion. We could talk about being a chef. We could talk about veterans in the military, so many facets in life, and so many people who utilize all of these things to help them out, to deal with their mental health, to get to the mental wealth part of their life, right? And when I talk about mental wealth, Andrea, and I'm saying that's right, right?
Yes.
Making sure, okay, cool, Andrea. When I talk about mental wealth, I'm also talking about, so when you think about wealth, generational wealth. It's a lot of assets, businesses, stocks and bonds, right? And they also discuss about life insurance. They discuss art, things that you can pass along that can accrue over time, that can go through generations. Um, so this is where I'm at. This is why I built the Mental Wealth Podcast, and this is what I want people to see. Not only can you do that, but mentally and through you building your wealth, you could pass along knowledge and skills and values and things that you can uphold that can make you better as you move along. And we pass them down through generations to help you sustain. So my first question to you, just to get right into it, what
Yeah.
inspired you to pursue a career in insurance and financial services?
Okay, so that's a good question.
Mhm.
So I got into this field about 3 years prior. I started my insurance and financial services practice
Mhm.
3 years ago. And what inspired me, I'm from Texas originally, and my sister is one of the first, big proponents of insurance. She has multiple licenses there, real estate, adjusting, life insurance. And she always thought that, it may be something that was suitable for me. She had seen people from other communities do really well with it. And it's a business that, it gives value to the person that's doing it, but it also helps the community at large reap a lot of benefits. So my sister was a big proponent. And I will also say that I had prior to getting into this, I was a property adjuster, okay,
Mhm.
a claims adjuster. So I tell people, I joke with people, I went from helping people put out fires in their physical homes to now helping them to put out or avoiding fires in their financial homes.
Mm.
And so
So bomb. So bomb.
with that, right. What I meant by that is, as a claims adjuster, as a property adjuster, when somebody's home, where they live at, where they lay their head, when it was, disrupted due to a fire or, natural disaster, it was my job to kind of help walk them through it. And so again, so I got some insight from doing that because I saw on the front end with property owners, whether we're talking about personal property or your actual physical home, you know, if somebody on the front end, the person that's selling it to you, a producer, they're not really explaining it, you're saying, hey, I want a lower premium. But in order to do that, you don't realize that you're kind of cutting your nose and spiting your face by excluding some things to get that lower premium.
Mm.
So right then and there, I understood the value of really being able to
You're
explain
talking
things.
about being unethical. Unethical.
Well, it's not it's not being unethical.
Right.
If you are saying, "Hey, well, it's a unlikely chance that in my area, my home is going to go through a tornado. I'd
Mhm.
rather chance it. I'd rather have a lower premium
Oh.
and exclude that." Okay, so if that happens, I'm
Wait.
going to
Oh,
take out of
oh, so you're talking about the customer. The
correct.
customer. Okay, my bad. My bad.
Correct.
Right,
So
right.
I'm talking about the client experience. So what I'm saying is in adjusting on the back end, I understood the importance of being able to explain on the front end what you're getting, what you're giving up, what you're foregoing to get a lower premium. So really just
Mm.
being able to paint that picture for someone. And so I translate that to now and working with businesses, families, just different people with regards to what it is that they're looking to do. You
Yeah.
have to tailor it and you have to, kind of be able to explain those nuances. And it's financial literacy or learning about life insurance. It can already be an overwhelming topic. So
Facts.
it's
Facts.
important to have people that can really kind of break it down
Yeah.
and help you to
And
kind of see.
this is why I was always like fascinated when I was talking to you because you're full of knowledge and just like you go over my head sometimes because you're pretty quick with the information. I'll be
Well,
like,
that means I need to slow it down.
be like,
So
I'll be like, wait, hold on. So let me just like now. I was like, okay, hold on, okay, I see what you're saying. So that's amazing, and I love hearing about that, and just your vision and your sister inspiring you, getting you into the business, and you kind of like taking off, right? Like just taking off. Is she? Yes, go ahead.
that she's in the business, that obviously inspired me. But her thinking that I could, propel it forward, be able to
Mhm.
get a message out there, because that's what it's about. But I also had other experiences that impacted me. About 12 years ago, almost, I want to say, I lost like my childhood friend.
Oh,
And
sorry to hear
so that was a situation too that, even in what I'm doing and talking to people, we may think that we have all this time, or all this time to do this planning,
right.
but she didn't live past 27.
Wow.
So that was something that impacted me as well. I think to be able to have these types of conversations, so it just life
Yeah.
ultimately.
No, that's real. That's real.
Yeah.
And you have a personal testimony to go with that story. So that passion in itself, and rest in peace to your friend. That passion in itself is definitely something going to keep you tied in. It's going to keep you tied in and really help you through your journey, like completing your mission.
It is a mission.
It is a mission. So you mentioned, right, like in your the blurb that you gave me, you mentioned that like helping, you want to help fill in the gap to like financial education, which I think is extremely important. Um, what specific gaps do you see most often in the Black communities, and why do you think like they persist?
Um, you know, that's a big question. That's a great question. I will say thus far in my journey, and there's still so much for me to learn and keep educating myself on different topics and subject matters, just so that I can be more value to the community at large. But I think a lot of our gaps, obviously, we have a big wealth gap.
That's a
Okay,
fact. That's a
when it
fact.
comes to our counterparts, so in the black household here in the States, the median income is about 29,000 dollars, okay, as opposed to our counterparts. That's the median. That's, taking in all everybody's collective, income, and that is the average that we're getting, okay, as opposed to our other households, whether we're talking about, Hispanic families, white families, Asian families. So, three times lower than some of them.
That's right.
Okay. So what do I see? Well, a lot of times, people, I swear, people think that insurance agents are almost uh like ambulance chasers,
Mm,
essentially. We can't do that because insurability and good health is key with getting somebody insured. Okay. But I say this because people of color, we're very guarded. A lot of times I talk
right.
with people, I'm all set, I have something through work, all this, that, and the third. A lot of times when we retire, when we leave those jobs, we don't have that. So it's important for us to do planning. And
Right.
that's what I noticed. That I feel like that is the biggest gap. And I feel like obviously historically, we had a lot of things to overcome. Back in the day, it was probably harder to get some insurance
That's a
or
fact.
harder to get bigger face amounts of insurance
Hmm.
because in Black American culture, grandmothers, they were getting life insurance on kids and their grandbabies, and they were doing small policies, though, what we call final expense plans, because they're like $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 plans. They're meant for burial, okay, for home goings. So we knew to do those things. And so for a long time, we may have been held back. There is some knowledge that has been around for a long time. Like when we talk about families like the Rockefellers,
Hmm.
they had access to things that are still around.
That's right.
Uh,
We're talking
Cash
about
value.
privilege. Hmm.
But now we have that same privilege.
Yeah.
And planning is a thing that we lack, a deficit of planning,
Yeah.
because whether we're talking about life insurance planning,
Right.
having those things that are going to be
Hmm.
guaranteed passed along, not just some term coverage, not just some group term coverage through work, but some permanent, where we actually have wills and trust, because to pass along assets, you actually need to do some planning to do that. A lot of times, if we're not like, if it's not a spouse, it's children
Hmm.
and other relatives, you need planning.
Yeah.
So it involves estate planning. And
Yeah.
that is helping get an attorney to help you draw up a trust
Yeah.
so that you can have your assets in that trust, and that trust can be managed after you're gone. You
Yeah.
need a will as well, because that will is going to outline what your wishes are, but your trust is what's going to help that not go through probate.
Oh
And
man,
that's a lot of times we're not doing those things. Like if we're not doing life insurance is the quickest infusion of wealth into our communities.
we do self-insurance. We do self-insurance.
And when we self-insure ourselves, what does that mean? To self-insure yourself properly, you need
Hmm.
a will.
Hmm.
You need a trust, because if you have assets, you got a home that you want to go to somebody, you got brokerage accounts, you got all these like different assets that you want to be transferred. Well, that takes planning to do it, and you need a will, and a lot of times you need a trust, and it's different types of trust, but you need an attorney to help you to build that trust out. That's
And
what it
see,
takes.
and see, you mentioned some valuable, amazing information. And this is the part where I say I think about like mental wealth and mental health. I think about that part because also within our communities, a lot of times people don't really think they're gonna live that long. People don't really feel like, they're like, I'm here today, I'm gone tomorrow. It is what it is, right? Depression is number one within our community now. Like it's a
And
lot
when
of
our finances are
Mhm.
not in together, that can definitely add to that
That
mental
adds to
anxiety.
that.
And we live in New York City, so we know that.
Hmm. So it's like a lot of people don't really feel like, like what is the point? Why would I do that? It is what it is. I'm living for the day. If I'm here, I got my family, my crew, my gang with me. I'm with my peoples. They're gonna look out for me. They're gonna hold me down. There's no need for me to do that. And I mean, I grew up with people who was drinking like religiously. And it was just kind of like, oh well, if I die, it is what it is. And then when they died, we were left to pick up the pieces. Like we have to
Right. With
scramble, and now
GoFundMe's.
we have to do, GoFundMe. We scrambling the last $300 you got in your account. You got to put that towards the casket. And it's just it brings a barrier, mentally it hurts the family, and it's excruciating in terms of finances.
Right.
And
It
just
sets us back.
mhm,
These are things, so that's what I help, as a professional. I help people solve different problems, challenges, because there are things that are, outside of death. What
mhm.
about, being young and disabled, having some type of, long-term care
We'll talk about
issue?
it. Hmm.
And we don't plan for these things to happen, but that's what I do as an educator. I kind of paint the picture and know and let
Yeah,
people know that, hey, there are things that can help you to minimize as much of that hit so that you don't have to self-insure completely.
yeah,
Because when you don't have the income coming in from that job
yeah,
because of an illness or an injury,
yeah,
well, we would have wished that we would have taken the time to know what was available to kind of cover our
yeah.
bases.
Yeah. I remember I used to sell supplemental insurance, and I used to go like from house to house selling supplemental insurance. And even that, I mean, it's far from life insurance, but it was like just some extra cash to help people out who may get into an injury, find themselves with some type of illness to cover themselves. Because, like you said, a lot of times we just leave it to our job, and then we're looking for our job to cover us. And it's kind of like that's not gonna pass along a generational wealth unless you mentally know what you're gonna do with that money. And 9 times out of 10, we're not financially literate enough to figure out this is how we're gonna do it, incorporate it, and bring it to that. Not everybody, but I do. I'm saying like the starters. You know what I mean?
That's why it's important to utilize your resources,
Hmm.
whether that is somebody like myself, an insurance and financial services professional, whether that's a financial advisor, whether that's a CPA, whether that's an attorney or a human resources person. I
Hmm.
always tell everybody that I sit with, I'm a resource. And
Hmm.
I'm a part. My goal is to be a trusted guidance partner, but
Right,
I'm not the only person because I don't have a monopoly on all the good financial strategies and all the planning strategies. There are going to be some things that somebody else, some other insight that somebody will be able to add to the conversation that elevates it and helps that person to reach whatever goal that they want quicker. So it's about people, everybody's unique need, and kind of figuring out what's important to somebody. What are you looking to do? Well, how can we protect that? How can we fill in the gap such as this? So if you
right.
got things at work, even if you have things at work, you can still fill in the gap with your own things. You have to start somewhere.
That's right.
How do you eat an elephant?
Yeah.
Don't
One
typically eat
one
elephant,
bite at a time.
but it's one piece at a time.
Mhm.
We not eating elephants. They're
Mhm.
intelligent creatures.
That's just not
But
right.
one bite at a time.
Right.
And I will say that, so I help people to kind of look at, because life insurance is a foundation of your financial house,
Right.
because it's a type of planning that says, hey, if something happened, if I got hurt, or if something happened to me, or if I expired before I generated all that wealth
Right.
that I was on track to make for my family or for myself, um, it is self-completing. We
Yeah.
have something in place as I build that out. It could
Yeah.
be something temporary or it could be something permanent. But
Right.
going back to things that people used before, going back to, even like I said, the Rockefellers, we hear about things such as the
Getty, the
waterfall method.
Vanderbilts. Hmm.
These are things that have been around for a long time. So a
Wait,
lot of
wait, wait. Hold on, you, because I know I'll be having to slow you down when we just talk.
Okay, so let me stop.
Wait, so you said the waterfall method?
Yeah,
What is
the
that?
the waterfall method, don't I'm not gonna I'll give you the high overview of it.
Yeah.
But the waterfall method was essentially, I want to say, using cash value life insurance
Mm.
and putting plans into a trust. Okay? And to where, I want to say they probably did every other generation. Like, okay, like if they had children, like they made sure to insure their children, their
Mhm.
grandchildren, essentially.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. And then it's maybe written in that trust, that, hey, you know, this is how it should be done. Everybody should have this cash value life insurance.
Hmm.
So as people start to expire, the trust gets infused with that tax-free money, okay? And then the next generation and so forth and so on.
Mhm.
So it's about having a strategy and creating a bank from pulling all those cash value life insurance plans that start to liquidate over time. And if you have a plethora of plans that you can pull through that all have varying cash value, you can pull that together and borrow from it to do business, to buy property, to do a plethora of things. And so this is something that has always been around.
Right.
And now we're hearing about it, infinite banking.
Yeah.
It's all
Yeah.
recycled.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
but that's the premise. And it
Yeah.
comes from something as old as insurance,
Yeah.
because insurance is kind of tried and true.
Yeah.
Cash value life insurance, because it's backed by these big insurance companies that have been around, the company that I'm with, 180 years, for example. So
So we're gonna move around right along real quick because you gave me a great segue. So no shots at anybody, but there's been, the insurance comp agency is a hard place to deal with sometimes, right? There was a saying that the big thing about insurance companies sometimes is to deny, defraud, and to delay, and when it comes to making payments. And so with that, financial institutions, these places, it's the lack of trust when it comes from the Black community a lot of times. How do you approach just building trust with your clients, who may be like, nah, that's not for me. I can't really trust y'all. I don't really think this is gonna work.
right. And I have to deal with that all the time. But ultimately, in this business, this is a personal business.
Right.
Somebody ultimately, they may like a company that I'm working with, but
Mhm.
that is not in itself going to sell it. A lot of times I sit with people, they don't care that I'm affiliated with a AAA rated company. What does that mean to me?
Facts.
And that means like, hey, this is one of the safest places, AAA rated. They are one of the safer institutions where you should feel comfortable to put your money, because they would never default on a claim.
Mhm.
Okay, they can pay their claims and they have surplus. Okay, so AAA rated is the highest rating that you can get. But how do you do that? Well, people are buying you ultimately.
Mhm.
It's not, and again, it's not so much as products. I'm trying to help people solve problems. I'm
Gotcha.
trying to help people to solve the things that keep them awake at night. They have young children, and they're kind of making ends meet, but it's like, I'm the only one that's running this shit. Maybe they're a single parent, and they say, hey, if something happened to me, what I fret at night thinking about what would happen to my kids. And so, with all that being said,
Important. That's
they're
important.
they're they're buying me, and I'm helping people to solve different problems.
Mhm.
And it's not necessarily me trying to throw a product at you. It's trying to figure out a solution to a gap, a area. Like, how can we put a solution in place to stop that bleeding so that we can go on and take get that space out of our mind, and we can go on to think about other things now.
Yeah.
And so they're buying me ultimately.
Mhm.
And my goal really, I try to get additional licenses. I'm registered now, and it just means that I can do more. And so that's my goal, to always continue to be learning
I
so
like
I can be an asset to my community at large, because I do understand that, even though I look like, who I'm sitting down with, it doesn't mean that you know, they have a trust for me right away,
that's a fact.
regardless of a company that I'm affiliated with, or just regardless of me. They have their guards up.
Mhm.
So they have to get the value from me, understand that I'm there to be a change agent, to be a helpmate,
Right.
and to help you solve a problem ultimately, because that's what I'm there for, to help you solve whatever objective, whatever goals are important to you. They're important to me. So ultimately, somebody is buying into me because of the value that I can give to them.
I can unpack that so much, and I love what you said there. They're buying into me. and you were just discussing about like the impact of like what do you want to leave behind with your family, things of that nature. All of that is real big when it comes to like why would you, want to make a purchase and
And
who,
no,
who you leave.
but even in addition to, I will say that it's not just about the people too.
Mhm.
Like you can, I want especially more of us to do certain things, because they will give us assets and they will give us option, because not everything is about a death benefit.
That's
There are
right.
some people that use things for accumulation, and
Mhm.
if I can use this vehicle, that's protection on my life, but it actually has equity that I can tap into that's tax free, and I can use this as my bank to do different things
Yeah.
with it, it's going to afford me choice and option.
Come on.
So the earlier that we do things like this,
Yeah.
it gives us choice and option, and it's not just something that's left behind as a death benefit.
Yeah.
I want to use it for the
So
tax free.
So I love that, and I got to move along because we're gonna run out of time, and
Okay.
because I love talking to you. So my question here is then, so you mentioned it, right? Like financial burdens are like one of the biggest things that can exacerbate mental health issues all the time. From your opinion, um, just let me just make sure I got my question right. From your opinion, how does building a secure, I mean, I think you answered this, but I'm just going to ask you to be just briefly, how does building a secure financial plan, how does that impact someone's mental health, someone's peace of mind?
Well, we know when we feel disorderly in areas, it takes up a lot of space in our mind. When we feel disorganized, um, we just don't feel together. So that can definitely put a lot of strain on someone, and it may even kind of paralyze them
Yeah.
from doing anything. But there are, steps that you can take to help at least start to build the foundation of the foundation before you go on to other things. Helping to organize yourself, helping if you can keep a budget for yourself.
Mhm.
If you can have you some type of emergency fund with 3 months to 6 months of expenses.
That's right.
That's what you want to work towards, having that before you go on to other things. You just want to make sure that you have enough of a foundation that if something happens, you won't your legs won't come out from under you.
Hmm.
So it's building that, having some term insurance, maybe having some individual disability insurance, like when you can start to do the things that protect you and give you more of a peace of mind. Once you start to take, I feel like start to take inventory and control the things that you can control,
Hmm.
and that's building that emergency fund out to give yourself, okay, I got a little cushion. um Making sure that if you have debt, figuring out what the debt is and creating a repayment structure to get that down.
That
um
helps me so much. What?
Right, because those are mental, we're thinking about all the things that are undone. So if we can, create this checklist for
Mhm.
ourselves and just go down, these are some things that are going to give us a stronger foundation and gonna put us in a place of empowerment
Right.
versus feeling powerless.
So I love that. We got about 8 minutes left. I just got a notification, so I wanna ask you two more questions. And you touched, man. I feel like I need a part two with you, but we're gonna just do this like this. So my question to you, as a black woman in finance, maybe you don't think about it, maybe it's not a question, or and I'm sure you you probably reach your obstacles and limitations in certain spaces, or maybe that's not a thing to you, right? But it's going to be a lot of viewers who's going to check this out. As a black woman in the financial sector, what unique perspectives, let me ask, do you bring, and how do you use that to empower others?
Um, what unique perspectives do I bring?
Yeah,
Again, one of those, again, coming from the property side of things.
yeah,
I understood the importance of really being able to try to break it down. I know you say I talk over your head sometimes, so let me slow it down.
I don't mean like that. I mean you be going fast, and I'm like,
I
what?
know, I know. So I'm like, let me slow down. But I bring that ability to really help people to kind of see between the lines.
Mhm,
And I see in this space, interestingly enough, something that's interesting. Um, there are not as many people of color in this space as as our counterparts.
mhm.
Okay. There are
I feel
not.
comfortable talking to you. I honestly do. Like I would have felt, not to cut you off, and I apologize for that, but I honestly, because I've met you, I feel comfortable talking to you about that. You gave me that energy, like, oh, she's actually someone I'm cool
It's
with.
so
Yeah.
interesting because I have a hard time with men for
Mhm.
some reason, black men. Um, and it's interesting that sometimes, you want you're of the community and you have this insight because of what you're doing and what you're constantly learning and studying and trying to be better for it. Um, and people are still distrustful of that sometimes. I will say I think it's been a unique thing to understand that it's not a lot of us in this field. So I know the importance of trying to that our importance and why it's important for us to remain and bring more. But something that I've dealt with that I thought was interesting too is that sometimes women they want to deal with men in this space because historically, when we think about finances, um, that's what it's been. We think
Mhm.
about men being the kind of
Breadwinner, the yeah,
the captain of the ship when it
yeah,
kind of comes to that. So, people are slow to adapt. And I will say that, with the prevalence of more women business owners and just women led business in general, women being more breadwinners, I feel like it's a interesting space that I want to keep, growing within. Um, because as things change, the landscape, black women have been the fastest growing, small business owners, you
and they
know,
hating on y'all right now.
I know. So
What? All right,
right. So
my
we've
bad.
got we got a lot of disruption going on. So which is why it's even more important for me to be here because I understand that plight as well. And being in this space, wanting to pour into more women, especially as we go into entrepreneurship and we go into executive roles or whatever the case may be. I found it very interesting, some of the attitudes.
So man, if they hating on y'all, they hating on us. I'm just gonna be honest. It's just it's a bad energy. But I want to move forward with that real quick because like about 4 minutes left. What do you do to like protect just your mental health in this time right now?
What do I do to protect my mental health in this time? I need to be doing more.
Come on, come on now.
I will say church, my faith is
Mhm.
important. God, I'll say God. Cultivating that relationship with God to kind of keep me grounded. And even, when the ground is coming from under me, uh, God is a big a thing. But also getting out in nature, going for walks, doing physical, workouts and things like that, to kind of help me when my energy is bottled up. I connect with community, my family in Texas and friends in my local community and things of that nature. Listen to music, find the things that I just try to find the things and take deep breaths, but find the things that try to help me reconnect back to my center.
Love that. Andrea, excuse me. Where can we find
You can find me on Instagram
you?
at Drea Got the Juice is one. Okay, I know. Drea Got the Juice.
Yeah, got juice, y'all. Uh-huh.
No, Drea got the juice. So
Dre.
that's how it is on
Okay.
Instagram. Okay.
Hmm.
Um, I'll also give you my website.
Hmm.
Well, okay, and you can maybe put it in the bio.
It's gonna be there.
Okay. And if anybody wants to do a free assessment or anything like that, feel free to email me at aghill, HILL at FT period New York life.com.
Got that. Thank you so much. This has been full with so much information. I honestly just as much as information as you have, as eloquently as you explained everything, it was just not enough time. And so I would ask for a part two. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think you explained you did it such a phenomenal job.
Gotta just figure out when to do the part two,
Yeah, yeah, we gotta get that in. Because he was it's full of just rich knowledge. Thank you so much. Everybody, please like, subscribe, share, follow. I'm gonna make sure this is on my YouTube and the podcast. I mean, and Spotify. So please check in, tap in. Mental Wealth Academy 8. Don't forget, you can follow me at Life with Halston. I'm right there. I'm in your face, and just remember, through fire and through water, it's always going to lead to the wealth, baby. God going to get us to the wealth. I'm going to tell you that right now. Right now, we in our mental wealth space. So peace and love. Peace and love.